Right, hi everybody. Well, probably on the back replay. Don't know if anybody's on the actual stream tonight. We'll soon see. If you are, say hello. I'd appreciate it. If you've done this challenge, definitely say hello because I'll probably need the help. I've not had a look at the challenge yet, beyond just knowing it was up. So let's see how it goes. So what we're doing this week, tonight, should I say, is we're going to take a look at the weekly challenge for Perl and Raku. It's at perlweeklychallenge.org. Perl with the E. If you're watching this, you probably knew that because you're a Perl person. Let me just turn down my coding music. That's Wee Funk Radio in the background, my favourite choice for music. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this. So every week there's a challenge. So far they haven't been too complicated, which is nice. And what we do is we just try and solve the problem. And I'm going to throw sort of an hour, maybe an hour and a half at it, and just see how far I get. And you can come along for the ride. If you're a developer, say hi. If you do Perl, say hi again. If you want to say hello, probably the best bit is in the Twitch chat at Twitch. What is it? Twitch.tv/LanceW. If you are on Twitter or anything like that, I'll try and check my phone occasionally partway through and say hello and try and reply to anyone on there. Else, I'll just get into it. I've got the chat up over here, so if you need any, if you post a message in there, I'll see it. So do say hello. And let's get going. So, challenge of the week. Let's see what it is. I hope it's not too tricky. If Mohammed has stitched me up with a tricky one, I will not be happy. I didn't get a chance to sort of look at this one in advance. So, this is what the weekly challenge looks like. It's up to number 72. Got released yesterday. I did read something, Mohammed saying there was you could get it early. I may have to talk to him about that. So there's a bunch of new stories in here that you can follow along. People are doing it in all sorts of different languages. It's kind of cool. So Lisp, Node, Swift, APL, C, Python, and R, which is kind of cool. And here is this week's challenge. It's called Trailing Zeros. And what we're going to do is we're given a positive integer, which is good. Write a script to print the number of trailing zeros. So input in is 10. Oh, right. Output 2 is 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not quite sure what the n is. What? N is 10. Try another one. 7. Write a script of trailing zeros in n. I'm a little confused what n does. What's the N for? Oh, sorry, that's in. Oh, what? Not sure what this input does. What's this input? Where does this number come from? You're given a positive integer. Write a script to print number of trailing zeros in n. So it can be any number, but 10. I'm utterly confused at the challenge here. This bit makes sense to me. It has 2 trailing zeros because this number has 2 trailing zeros. And this number has 1 trailing zero. And 24 has no trailing zeros. I don't see the 7 maps to that. Oh, it'd be really nice if the viewer was Mohammed. Let me just check Twitter. Mohammed, come on, help me out. The CPAN author himself, help me out. Okay, no, I'm not sure. Okay, let's see if we can work it out as we go along. Oh, what's happened to my bandwidth? Sorry, it dropped out there for a second. Okay, so let's just share my desktop tonight. I might change that because you get a bit too much noise and stuff. But right, so we're in the directory. It's empty at the moment. I'll follow my normal sort of process for this. If you can, hopefully you can read that. I'll make a directory called T for tests, and then I'm going to make T/, let's just call it 0 : basic because I'm really lazy. Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to use test2 v0 force a habit, and then we can put done testing. This should fail horribly, but we're not actually at that point, so prove minus LV. Yep, no test run, so that's a good start. So I'm going to switch back to here. So I'm going to do this the way I did it last time, which is I'm going to make this a class. So the way I do this in test 2 is I can set a target, because I'm going to test this class. I think it's a fat comma, and then I can work out where my fingers are. And let's call this module, just call it, what's the trailing zeros? Trailing. Zeros, like that. This will probably fail. Did I save that? Interesting, that didn't fail. I think there's a command for this. Is there? This will be interesting. And this should be trailing. I'm not sure that's the right syntax for the test I'm looking for. You don't really need this sort of test, I don't think, but just for the sake of being thorough. Oh, it might help if I run the test, right? Yep, that fails horribly. So I'll do my normal trick. I'm going to just stick this in a watch. Leave that running in the background. So I can't find that module. That's what I'd expect. So let's... Where are we? Okay, so, yeah, so switch to window 2, make a directory called, whoops, ling, that's not what I wanted. We want to make a directory called lib and make a directory inside there called trailing, and then inside that we want to edit lib trailing I've done it again, haven't I? Why is it always the beginning of when you're getting... Mohammed, you're here. Excellent. I hope that's you. I have questions about the puzzle, my friend. I'll get there, go back to that in just a sec once I've got this all set up. So I don't want that trailing there. It's always nice when the person who set you the challenge shows up. Then you can ask them your stupid questions because he will know the answer. Lib. He'll also laugh at my rubbish typing. And then we're going to go lib trailing zeros.pm. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, since Mohammed's here, let's switch quickly across and let's see if you can answer the obvious question. So, it's fantastic you have arrived. Thank you. So the question I have is, if you look at example 1, it says input equal, the input for $n is 10, and the output 2 as $n. I don't understand how this works. What's the input, I guess, and I understand that the output, I'm not sure how 2 as n equals that number 326288800 has 2 trailing zeros. I get that much. We're trying to work out how many trailing zeros at the end of the number. I don't understand what the input this bit is. While you're typing, I'm going to switch back and hopefully you can enlighten me. So this is my package. So I'm just going to, while I'm waiting, let's see how long the lag is between when I say stuff and Mohammed sees it and manages to type. Some lag on my computer today. Package trailing zeros 1 factorial of the given number. Oh man, don't make me do math. So I have to work out how to do factorials as well. Oh man. Oops, can't type. Line 3. Let's just get rid of that for now. Okay, so my test is sitting there running. I'm going to start with that. I'm just going to work out what the trailing zeros is. Don't make me do factorial. Math, come on. I get the impression your keyboard is like mine, that it's you switch between a US and a UK keyboard. The $ in there. I did that just before I came on here. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly that. So let's see what I want this interface to look like. So is class trailing zeros. That's the only problem calling it zeros now. I get a bit of stutter. Trailing zeros. Count zeros. Count. Let's just call it count. And if I give it a number, and let's go with this one for a start. I want the answer to be 2, right? And I can make it look pretty later. If you watch a bit longer, my typing will go everywhere as well. My fingers are not great. So two trailing zeros. Does that look like a reasonable test for that? For example 1, ignoring actually doing the math. So let's have a look at the test. And as you'd as I'd expect. Can't locate the object method count via package trailing zeros because I haven't got one. So let's add one. So just want to add it, call it count, couple of fancy curly braces. So now it's got, now it knows it's got the sub, so we're cooking with gas. And old school test more. I like test more. At my previous job, we moved to using test2 v0, and it's just nice because it's got everything in it. Yeah, test2 version 0 is just great because you just get everything out of the box, so you can do exceptions. You're like, I don't have to load anything. It's probably really wasteful, but it works for me, right? Okay, so now my test is passing, which is what we'd expect because I've hard-coded the value 2 in there. So that's that. So let's make it a bit more sensible. So let's do some boilerplatey stuff. So what we can do is self and the number. And we're just going to hand this in. As ever, Mohammed will be disgusted because I watch yours and you do like proper error checking and nice error messages and stuff. You also make it a script, and I tend to be lazy and not doing that. I should really make these, I might try and do it. These tabs are different, like when I jump between screen sessions, I should make them different colors or something. It'd be super handy for the stream that you could see when I switch a little easier maybe. Let me know if that's a good idea. So yeah, that's just me taking in the object and the number self, the number, and then I want to do some calculations on this. So what's going to be the easiest way to do this? So if we take the number and we grep, we can, it's Perl, right? It's Perl. We can solve everything with a regex, surely. Surely we can solve it with a regex. So if we go, how we do this? Let's go dollar number. Where the heck's this on this keyboard? I never use the tilde on the keyboard. And let's go 0 plus something like that, and make it at the end there. And let's just $1. Where does that get us? So we've got 0, 0. That's kind of what I want. Oh yeah, there's a good idea. Since you have count as a method, why not let it count any given digit and not just 0? That's a jolly good idea. And like any good Perl developer, where am I going to put this? Here. I'll do what we all do at work, right? To do and if I turn on my syntax, I don't know why it's off by default nowadays, but it really drives me nuts. So we know, sorry, if I go back to here, we can see up here that it's warning out 0, 0, so it's grabbed the right thing. So now we just have to work out what the length of that is. In Perl land, how do we do that? What's a good way to do that? It might, is it this? That would be cheating if I just put 0, 0, right? This is warn-based development 2. Okay. Length $1. Let's just make it a bit cleaner. Cool. Does it pass the test? Okay, it does pass the test. Cool. Should calculate. Just going to make this. So it's 3, 6, 2, 8, 8, 0, 0. Has 2 trailing zeros. Cool. Oh, I don't like the I don't like having the line numbers. Loads of people I've worked with do, and they really like it, but I for some reason don't like it. How do you do it? Do you just have like the numbers from top to bottom, or do you do that thing where you've got the contextual line numbers, so it's like 1 up, 1 down, it's 1, and then 2, and then 3, like, so you can, the idea is that you can then go, oh, 5, and it'll just like 5 lines above or 5 lines down. Let me know. Right, so what's the second number on your list here? Is this thing even on? Sorry, I'm a little conscious that I lose a few packets. I'm hanging on Wi-Fi and it's not great at times. And sometimes my preview screen over here hangs and I get really nervous because I had quite a few of config issues on getting this to work. So let's jump over here. So what's the second number? 5040. Yeah. So if we jump over here, I'm going to go 5040 here. Control-Shift-V. And that should have a, so that should be 1. I could make this super tidy and use variables here as well, but I'm not because I'm lazy. And I probably have a bunch of hubris as well. But top to bottom, that's how you do your line numbers. Yep, that's how I do it. When you say it looks plain, I really like it plain. If you ask anybody who used to work with me, they'll tell you, so yeah, that's right. I tended to use the Xmonad window manager, and then I tried i3, didn't like it. But things like Xmonad, where you'd literally just get a blank screen and open a terminal, and I get no Chrome around. Like, see this bit here, if you can see my mouse, it just annoys me after a while. I don't do enough programming really on this computer, especially to care. And some of the other stuff I've been doing is in IDEs, where it's a little bit like, oops, all this Chrome here, I just don't need most of the time. So I like it really plain and clean. But anyway, so if we go back to the test, okay, that one passed as well. That was a bit too easy. I've done something wrong. So let's grab, this will be the one that fails, right? Control C the 24, jump back here, go to the test, which is like 1, terminal 1. So is class count, what was the number? 24, right? Yeah. Comma, and that should be, what output do you want? Just 0? Yeah. This will be interesting to see if this works. I've lost about just short of 2% of my frames have been lost, so let me know how laggy this is. And hopefully the audio on the video is okay, but I know previously when it wasn't configured just right, the lag was pretty horrible, so do let me know if my voice is out of sync with the typing, things like that. I'll try and tweak it. So this should calculate 24 has 1 trailing 0. And the $1 million question, oops, of course not. So this one blows up and highlights my lack of typing and spelling skills. So I was doing so well. It was all sunshine and rainbows, and then I got to this one and it blows up in my face because my solution is not clever enough. So it got an undef and it should be in 0. That's probably understandable. So if we look at my implementation, what I'm doing is I'm returning that. What I can probably get away with, I wonder if I can get away with this. If I can work out how to use my keyboard. Or 0. Yay! Yeah, cool. So this is pretty hacky. Unlike, if you want to watch good examples, watch Mohammed's YouTube channel. You're watching, so it's a bit weird to talk to you in third person, Mohammed. But what I like about yours is you do it much more defensively, and you what do you say? Like you do a much more thorough job than me, and I'm not prepared to be that good a human being for my evening hackery. Okay, so for the benefit of anyone who's watching or ends up watching this on YouTube or on Twitch later, let's just go through this as it stands. So the challenge is, there's the factorial bit that I'm pretending I don't know about just for now, but the challenge is to see how many trailing zeros there are on the end of a number. So all we're doing here is I have a little method of my trailing zeros class. And all I'm doing, sorry, I'm just watching my video flicker a bit over there in the in Twitch. So all I do is I pass in, this is in Perl 5 land. This is me passing in all my args, and I know there's only 2. And the first one is just self, so like the object that it is. I guess it's like this in JavaScript or something like that. And a number. And then all I do here is, with that number, what I'm doing is I'm going to do a regex, regular expression. And what I'm looking for is 0. And plus just means any number of zeros, right? Or is it 1 or more? 1 or more zeros? So it's 1 or more of that, which is 0, the actual character 0. I'm wrapping it in braces, and that captures whatever's on the inside when it captures it. And then this $sign at the end tells it that I just want it at the right hand side of the variable. So it takes the number, grabs all the zeros on the right hand side of, starting from, if you imagine if it starts and works backwards, from the end of the variable backwards. So in the case of 100, for example, 100, 100, it would go 00 and then stop because the next character is in a 1. It's kind of reverse. It's not how regexes work, but anyway. But the $sign just tells me to lock it to the end, and then basically I have to return something. And what I return, the length command is just going to tell me the length of that number. So in 100, it's 2 characters, so the length is 2. In Perl, obviously, if it doesn't capture anything, so there's none, it's undef, and this just returns undef, which isn't what we want. So what I check, I do this is an OR, high precedence OR. So if length $1 is undef, it goes, that's not a true value or a truthy value. So it goes to the right hand side of the OR and returns 0 instead. Yeah, simples. And then in my test is dead simple. I'm not doing anything tricky. I can turn on the syntax light highlighting here. Whoops. And maybe I should tidy it up. For those of you who maybe don't know Perl 5 very well or anything, oh, that didn't do nice things. I don't like that actually. Let's flick that back for now. Perl 5 has a really lovely toolset, if you like Perl 5 that is. And one of the really cool things that you should probably get used to using is Perl Tidy. Perl Tidy will take your code and format it to a standard, you can, obviously in a company or dev team, whatever, you can set that to how you like your formatting. And a lot of places you work at, if you're a Perl developer, will put that in your git commit hooks or something like that to make sure that everybody's code is formatted the same way before you commit it. And that saves lots of problems and arguing about styles and stuff. So that's good. I use that a lot, almost all the time. I haven't seen it. One of the other things, I use Vim to do all my Perl, just force a habit. I'm using test2 v0, which is, I like test2 v0. Part of that, again, is habit, because the last place I was doing Perl programming, that's what we were using, so you get used to it. I like it because it bundles up pretty much all the test libraries that I could ever want. So I was doing some coding. I don't know if I recorded it on the stream, but I've written a little thing that reads a directory full of markdown files and backlinks between them, where the links are sort of wiki style links, and being able to test all of that, looking for exceptions, like if it died or through a warn or anything, was really handy. So it's quite good that way, that all I have to do is remember to bring in test2 v0. test2 v0, if you go to cpan, has really nice documentation as well and gets you to the modules you need pretty quickly. So it's quite nice for that. And one of the reasons I like it is because it does this minus target. You can say what the module you want is, and it knows just to look at lib. And then for your tests, you can do this nice dollar class in capitals, and then just call methods off it, and it's nice and tidy. And is really nice. It's just is, got, expected, and a little bit of description. You can do subtests really easily. So you can just do subtest, just testing, sorry, the zeros first. Okay, so that's just testing, that. And then what you do is you do a fat comma sub, put a curly brace, and curly brace here, and a semicolon. That's a trick I always get wrong. Oops, don't need the enter. And then, gosh, my typing is very fat-fingered today. And then if we go back and look at the output, what did I do? So sun test. What you can see in a second is, you can see here it's got no point me pointing it with my hand. This line here, hopefully you can see that. You can see that subtest starts there, and then it indents all three tests, so you can get a nice visible thing. I used to quite like test spec and that style of writing, almost a BDD style thing, or just letting it compose like these messages, these bits, sort of by sort of component by components. You built it down, but I also find just doing it this way is quick and easy, and it works quite nice for me. So yeah, that is that. Okay, cool. So let's, how much time have we done? We've done like 34 minutes. Thank you, sir. Nice subtest. So what I could do, depending on, I do have the master of the challenge here, so maybe I should actually try and do a factorial in Perl. You may have to cheat and put it in the comments, Mohammed, because I don't do math. It's not my bag, man. So let's do calculate factorial, and we can add a little subtest in for this. Obviously, if we were following the single responsibility principle, I would never ever combine my calculation and then this. They're obviously two separate classes, but I'm not going to do it that way. So let's say is class actually what I should do first is this. I should just save that and go to here. And you can see subtest 2 has arrived, and it's not okay because I haven't basically run any tests. So that's what we want. So let's add a test, and this is going, I'm going to say is, if I take the class and call, let's just call it factorial. What was the first number on your example was 10. Factorial 10. And the answer should be, I know what the answer is because it's at the top there, 3, 6, 2, 8, 8, no, 8, yeah, 8, 8, 0, 0. And we can say, again, I could like automate this so it's using variables for the expected and the input and stuff, but I'm too lazy. Factorial of 10 should be 3, 6, 2, 8, 8, 0. And for those of you who care about such things, this is a really bad idea, right? That my description is hard coded, so if I change anything, like if I change this value, my description will then be a lie. So it would be way better to do this as a string, like to have these variables and then reuse the variables in the description as well, or do some sort of list or an array or a hash of values or something like that. I don't like generally that idea that you have all these things and it has to do lots and lots of code to run the tests, but something like my what do you call them, in, and what was the second one? Cool, like let's make it easier. Input, like this is probably better, right? My input, if I was doing this sort of and I expected anybody else to ever look at this, maybe like this. Like that, and then use input expected what have I done? Just stick to simple lines. Every time I try and do the fancy Vim tricks, I mess it up. Input like this should in theory be better because I'm using, if I change anything, these two values up here, like if I change these, it should show this, and I can do some fancy looping and that sort of stuff. But anyway, but it doesn't save me from not being able to type. So on line 12 there is a missing semicolon. Yep, exactly that. Okay, so calculate factorial not okay. And you can see why up here, because we haven't got a factorial method on our package. So let's go create one. And probably we'd have that at the top right, because the way you'd use this is you'd probably use the factorial first. So sub factorial. That's the most basic version of this we can do. Look at the test. Yep, test changes. So now it knows. You can see it's sort of, now we've got a failure here where it should be. Because it got undef, because we didn't return anything at all. So if we switch back, we can easily do the simplest thing possible. Can't type. return, and the value is this. This is what it should return. So I can just really simply cheat, paste that in there, realize that I can't type still, do that. And this should be the simplest version of this code that could possibly work. So it worked great for our first test, okay? So what's our second test? So the second one, the input is 7. Let's go to here, 7. I'm going to get annoyed doing this, but I will. This is such a messy way of doing it, but deal. I'm just going to do it the ugly way for now. I wouldn't ideally do it this way. If I put these in a subtest as well, they're all what do you call it? If I stick them in a subtest, they would be the scope would be fine, and I could just do my input. Because they're not, I just got to get rid of the input. I don't like doing it this way, but let's do it this way because I'm too lazy to do it properly. Laziness, hubris, some other stuff. Okay, so that is what we'd expect. And if I jump over here, and the input is 75040 is the other number. 7 and 5040. And it would be good if I could 7, and this should be 5040. And this should fail, right? Yep, because it got the same number, because my method, I did the simplest thing that could possibly work to pass the first test. So it fails on my second test because actually that's not how factorials work. Anyone in the viewership want to tell me what a cheap and easy factorial bit of mathematics is? And if you pop that into the chat, that would be super handy to stop me being really, really lazy and going and looking on the interwebs, because my math is 0. And you know, audience participation is a thing that apparently we Twitch streamers are supposed to be into. So yeah, the reason it's not working is this. So why I do a lazy web request on the chat for math on how to do this, I'm going to turn this into a real method. So if I do my normal trick, we are going to just set up self and the input number. What do you call it's n something, but let's just call it number. And that is just going to equal at, where's my underscore? There. Like that. This test should still be failing, but it's failing for the same reason. So that's good, makes me happy. And what I can do is I can just, well, I'll often, if I'm feeling particularly late like this, we can just call this output, set it up, that'll be undef, and then just return output. And this should fail because it returns undef. So it fails in both because it's undef. There's some nasty hacks I could do here. If I was being really super evil, I could use state variable, which would know each time I called it that I was picking the next one. That would work for 2 tests, and then it would die on the third one, right? But that's not what we want to do. So let's use the magic of the interwebs, which always causes me a little frame drop. So let's do Perl factorial. Make sure I'm not confused. Come on. Come on. The speed that my browser is loading probably hints to you at why I have the odd frame dropout. Oh, look. There you go. Perl Maven. I'm really doing this, believe it or not, so that I can introduce you to the Perl Maven website by Gabor Szabo. Gabor Szabo, of course, started the Perl Weekly newsletter, and a certain gentleman called Mohammed Answar does some editing on that. So, hey, isn't that cool? Doesn't that work well? That we're linking everybody together. So how do I calculate factorial in Perl? So how does this work? Okay, so factorial is that thing, right? So it's 1 to n, and it's first number times the second number. Okay, cool. That is not too tricky. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what any good lazy developer does and use my Control-C key and just say that that man there is smarter than me. There's probably a library that has factorial in it, but he's using listutil. I haven't got that installed in my library, so let's see what happens. This is all good educational content. So if I Control-Shift-V for a start. So let's move that up to the top here. Normally, for this sort of project, I'll often use Moo just for any object orientation. It's a bit lighter than Moose. Now, what we should see, I think the line at the bottom is probably, we'll probably get multiple errors here when we go back to the test, but that's good. Come on, a couple of seconds, tick over. Oh, okay. So apparently I do have listutil installed on my machine. I was expecting it to fail. Why is N not failing? Is this even running? Is it running? Yep. Let's just make sure it's not that I can't see it because of scrolling. Scroll up and have a look. The only problem with running prove-L the in watch is watch will only give you the first. I think there's a command for this, but as I understand it, it watches, and basically what it does is I end up getting the top, the first output, and I don't get the bottom, or vice versa. I think it's the top that I get over and over and over. So with big tests, like if you've got loads and loads and loads of lines of test, it doesn't work as well. I'm a big fan of vertical monitors, so the one on the left here is the vertical monitor, and I normally use that, so it's portrait rather than landscape. So I could fit them all on a screen normally. Doesn't look great on a live stream, unless everybody wants to flip their screens 90 degrees, so I don't do it. But I guess it's also good discipline, right, that my test file shouldn't be so big there's screen after screen of results. Like, we should break it up. But anyway, it's not that. I was a little surprised that didn't throw errors, or didn't throw the error I thought it was. So what I thought it would blow up on is that $n, but I guess I'm a little surprised that doesn't work. But what it actually is going to be in my case, well, let's cheat and do it this way. Oh, because I put it in the wrong place, haven't I? That was lucky. So I don't want it in here at all. I want it up here. And I'll show you something we can probably get away with. We can just return fact. The factorial, we can get rid of that, that line. If you're wondering what that little red bar is, my vim config detects white space at the end of a line and marks it as red because I don't like it. So when I write, I also have vim set up to get rid of it, which is great, except when you're in vim and Perl files, but when you're doing anything that cares about that, it's super annoying. But anyway, so if we go to the test now, it's failing. Why is it still failing? Not okay, not okay. Because I haven't made this. Let's change it up here. N is the right. That's the mathematical term, right? Okay, why is this not working? So factorial of input should return expected. Okay. And my test tells me very little, actually. Okay, so what am I doing that is just plain wrong here? So I'm calculating that. So we can do a little bit of old school debugging. Don't make me do debug mode because I'm live streaming and I couldn't do that. So what does that show me? What's fact? Okay, so the fact is correct. And it should return fact. Right? Those are the right numbers that it's warning. But my test is failing. Why is that not wrong? Not correct. Oh, it is correct. What? Did anybody see me do something that fixed that? Okay, so that's working. So that's cool. We should probably put the final test in. So we'll keep this slightly untidy version. Right, so what was the where is it? Where are we? Perl Weekly Challenge 4 and 24. So let's change this to be 4, and the test should fail. Yep, that's what we want. And this should be 24, which it's already saying is correct. Cool. And everything's good with the world. Okay. So then we could combine these, right? And we could let's do one more test. We've got a few minutes left. Hopefully this doesn't take long. Subtest. Use both. And you could argue that this isn't now a valid test in a way. This is an integration test. So you could argue that I should stop now and I should have an integration test that pulls this module in and does the two things that I'm about to do in this library, but just because this is not real work, let's just cheat and let's say that is class let's see, I'll call it something like count zeros. Oh, come on. It's because I saw the time and I'm trying to rush it. Count zeros. Sorry, let's call it calc tutorial. I know what we'll do actually. I should do this as a test, but I'm going to not do it as a test just for the sake of actually doing the test, doing the doing the task that Mohammed set me, right? Ignore this. This is a different project that I should have shut. So let's just vim calc factorial and count trailing zeros.pl. Good name, huh? Use strict. I will be that good. I will use warnings because I'm good. I will use lib. Whoops, lib. Just because I know where we are. Lib, which is where my library is. Then I will use trailing zeros. And then say that my what do you call it, in equals, and I'm not going to be error checking like a good person. I am going to do this quickly in the last 4 minutes of my promised hour, so I can go see my lady wife, and she might forgive me for hacking. And then we can go I probably don't need to do it, but let's just create it first and go, whoops, trailing zeros. Actually, I can, yeah. Trailing zeros. I hope this works. Oh, let's just do it. I'm being lazy. Come on. So we'll create an object. I may have to load what I suspect I'm going to have to do here is yeah, because I haven't used moo, so let's just, this is why I tend to use moo. This will just give me all those nice easy things, hopefully. Here we go. Sorry, jumping around. Yep, cool. So that worked. So I've got an object of the type which is a trailing zeros thing, and we can say my, well, let's just print, and this is going to be fun, string fz arrow count, and this is going to be $fz, losing a few more packets by the looks, but hopefully it's not too bad. What's this actually called? Factorial. $n. So this is wrong because I'm being daft. It's not fx, it's fz. And again, unlike Mohammed, I'm not being thorough here, so I'm not what I'm absolutely not doing is writing robust safe code with lots of defense programming. So that's failing because I didn't give it a number. So let's give it, what was the first number? 10? 0. 2. Okay, cool. Oh, right. So it did kind of work. So what's going on? Let's just do this super sharpish. If I use say and all that good stuff, I wouldn't have to do this. print, and we'll do another one here. And now, if we just reset the screen and we go factorial, calculate the factorial and count trailing zeros with the number 10, gives me 2. And is that the right number? When had an input of 10. No, what? Hang on. Oh, sorry. These are not numbers that are in the thing. So if we put in... Hang on, I'm getting confused now. So 7 should return 1. Is that what we're saying? 7 does return 1. And if I have an input of 4, I should get 24. And that should return 0. Oops. Yeah, okay, so happy with that. And then 10 should give me a 362880 and give me a number 2. So let's try that. Cool. All correct. Not very pretty, not very precise. Last bit's not tested great, but having all these sort of units tests gives me faith that this little bit of code is okay. So yeah, cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Just for a little bit of, if I run this again, something I would probably do, so the tests are okay, is I could be, so there's an implicit return in Perl, so I can get rid of that and do either that, or I could just, well, no, I can spell it right, but I can do that and it should still be fine. Yeah. I often don't like that, and I rather put the explicit return in there. But you can cut it down. It depends on your attitude and your personal coding styles and the styles of the people that you're working with, if they like that or not. We could do this minus, let's say 5. I forget which way it is. And Perl Critic hopefully is installed. Oh, look at that. It liked it at level 5. At level 4, what does it not like about my code? Still likes it. I don't normally get past 3. Yeah. So it doesn't like the regex without the /x. That's pretty common. My copy of Perl Best Practices is somewhere. I thought it was on my desk. Where have I taken it? Anyway, these are all from Perl Best Practices, the book. So, yep. And if I get really OCD, oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that, but don't really. We can get down to here and we can see Perl Critic -1. We could be as critical as we want. So it doesn't think my code is tidy, which I think it. I thought it was. Maybe I forgot to Perl tidy it. Oh yeah, it wasn't wrong. So it should be tidy now. So I haven't got a version. I'm not using S, I'm not using X, I'm not using M. And I'm using a capture variable used outside conditional on line 17. Line 17 is this one down here. And yeah, I'm using the capture variable. Yeah, I can live with that. I'm not that fussed. Okay, so let's go back to the nice screen with the tests running rather than watching it say that I did a bad job. Let's have a look at this. So there you have it. That's challenge number 72 of the Perl Weekly Challenge. It's perlweeklychallenge.org, I think. Yeah, perlweeklychallenge.org on the interwebs. Got a Twitter account somewhere. That's the first part. I think there's a second challenge, which is working out the line range. So if they put something like that in, it's going to fill in those gaps. If you want to give it a go, you can crib my answer, do it better, do it in a different language. I keep threatening to do this in Elm, which is another programming language I've been learning. I even read a thing saying that you can do command line things in Elm, which is weird because it's designed to do web applications on the front end. But I could at least do the modular bit. My approach to these things, these sorts of challenges, sort of as we've discussed, or as I've said, I thoroughly recommend you go to perlweeklychallenge.org, follow the links, watch Mohammed's videos of how he does it. Really different and interesting style. The way he does it, it's much more defensive. The ones I've watched, at least. Maybe you don't do it all the time, but the ones I've watched. So checking all the inputs are right and all that sort of good stuff. And unlike me, he doesn't try and cheat and not do the factorial mathematics, but he's much more well behaved. So Mohammed, you're much better than me. I really like the way you do it with all the error checking. I think it's a really good example. Hopefully for people who are watching this, you can see it's the way I do it. I tend to try and write my tests, write the least amount of code I can, and work that way. I tend to write most of my things sort of in a module rather than in a Perl script itself. So I'll write the module, and then my Perl scripts often, like, where was I editing it? Here, end up just me calling the module itself. So yeah, it's a little bit different. I try not to do it all in the Perl file, put it in a module, write unit tests, and then go from there. So that's how I do it. It's not, it's like, this is a creative activity. The other thing, obviously, this is my, what day is it? It's Tuesday or something like that. So this is my evening. So I'm not being as thorough as you tend to be, Mohammed. Lastly, if you do want to have a look at test 2, test 2 v0, if you are a Perl developer and you haven't touched it yet, it's so slow and it affects my frame rate and stuff when I load modules, when I load web pages, when I'm streaming. So this is test 2 v0. Test 2 v0, it probably says down here, it's like a real, like it's the future sort of thing. What I like, one of the reasons I like it is it's got everything I need, and it's quite easy to find the extra bits I want. So if you're using like test more and you suddenly go, oh, I need to test for a warning in my code, you have to go, oh, what's the name of the module? It's not that hard, right? But it's just one more sort of cognitive load that I don't need in my life, especially because I don't test that much. So I can go, oh, I want to test exceptions. It's just here. And I really like this page because the synopsis page, this just main page, has like the most obvious example. So if you've done it before, you can really quickly remind yourself of the bits that you've forgotten, right? You can go, oh yeah. So if I want to see if it warns once, twice, 3 times, I can just stick warns around it, the bit of code that I'm testing, and it'll just warn, and I can count them, and it's easy. I'm sure there's better reasons for why you want to use it than that. If you're doing TDD, that's the one I really meant. I keep forgetting that is it okay or can okay. So if you're really starting off and you want to properly TDD a module, you can just set the target in there. Is it okay? Dollar class in capitals and then the class name, and then just okay, yes, it's that much. And then you can go can okay, and yep, the method's there. I tend not to bother, and like you saw, I'll just call the method in my test and see that it fails, saying that the method doesn't exist, then add the method, then it throws normally just a returned undef error, then I'll return like the hard-coded value, test passes, I feel better, like, yep, I've done the minimum, it's just a return, it's hard-coded, and then I'll flick in and do the next bit, and the next bit, and the next bit, sort of that way. That's kind of the style that I try and follow. Reality is I cheat a lot, but that's kind of how I approach it. But yeah, I'm going to sign off. That was, what are we up to? Just over an hour. Please do, Mohammed, you don't have to, because like this is your webpage, but Perl Weekly Challenge, I'll point at the screen, do like interaction stuff. Go have a look at Perl Weekly Challenge. It's number 72. You don't have to do it in Perl, but you should. Perl is nice. I like Perl. Do it in Raku. Raku is part of the Perl family. It's more modern. It's got all the bells and whistles you could ever need. Whichever way you like to do stuff, you can do it there. But like I said at the beginning, gabbling, sorry. Where is it? Down here, maybe you're one of these people, one of the guests, and you're going to do it in one of these different languages. I keep saying I'm going to try and do it in Elm or something like that, just to see if I can. This one may not be that bad because it doesn't have a loop, so I don't have to deal with maps, which we do have. Map and reduce, we do. Well, you saw we have a reduce from list util, but maps always give me a headache. Ask anybody who's worked with me. And seeing as Elm has them built in, maybe I'll use those. But hey. So, yes, look forward to seeing your responses. Please do join the challenge. Tweet about it, promote it. I'm at Lance W on Twitter. Please do say hello. And if you watch this video on Twitch in the replay, I'll export it to YouTube. And if you watch it there, definitely drop me a tweet. Say you saw it. Tell me that I did it all wrong and that I should have known what a factorial was off the top of my head. But, you know, it's getting late. I work for a living. My brain is not that good. But hey, thanks for the people that did watch live. Mohammed, you seem to have been here the whole way through. Really appreciate it. I'll probably do another stream later in the week. I want to work on my little backlinking script, which I want to just finish that off. I have another feature I dreamt up where I wanted to create a file that has all the files that don't have links or don't link out to anything, because I use it in this note-taking system called a Zettelkasten, and one of the big points of that is that you should always have links between your notes, a bit like the internet really, so that they don't get isolated out. So I kind of want to do that, and I really have to return to my other project, which is in the Elm programming language, which is Judo WRL world ranking list system, where I'm just doing front-end stuff, and I have to learn how to do responsive properly, and I got part way there. It kind of works a bit, but not very well, and my responsive layout is hideous. So I need to do some work there. But other than that, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, if you're watching this afterwards. Thank you for the Perl Weekly Challenge and all the support and tweets and stuff. Much appreciated. And hopefully, Mohammed, I'll see you at a Perl Things soon, when we can all go to Perl Things once again and we're not locked in our houses. Everybody else, I hope I meet you soon if I haven't already. Do tweet me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.